And we are back, 31, almost 32 minutes after 11 o'clock. Our phone line right now tied up with our next guest. My pleasure to welcome to the show Dean Doc. I'm going to let you pronounce your last name for me. Coach Dox, how are you?
There you go. That's what most people say, but my last name is pronounced Doxakis, but most people do call me Coach Dox just to make it easy.
Very good. I want to thank our mutual friend, Coach Eric, who's hosting on April 2nd. It sounds to me like kind of a special pitching clinic for area youth baseball, softball players. Yes, correct. Both softball and baseball players could benefit from the April 2nd clinic.
Absolutely. You know, this is going to be hosted by Eric, but I work for Tom House, who is the founder of the National Pitching Association, and that can be misleading at sometimes because we actually work with all rotational athletes, from quarterbacks to softball players, golfers, anybody with a rotational movement. We train with biomechanical and functional strength methods. So, yes, that's certainly baseball and softball would most certainly qualify.
Yeah, and, you know, one of the things I learned early on in my days playing ball, and, you know, learning that it's not necessarily the most natural movement throwing a baseball.
Well, and the truth of it is, and that's what's special about our organization, is that over 20, 30 years of doing slow motion analysis, we do a 3D motion analysis where we break down movements to 1,000 frames per second to where we clearly can identify what is a correct biomechanical movement and what is not. And a lot of times, just like in your comment, there's a disconnect between what is a player's signature and what is a biomechanic. And so we can clearly distinguish between the two. So a lot of times we have the most accurate information about exactly what is a correct throwing motion. And what you'll find is that the arm action or the arm movement is a player's signature and really not a biomechanic. So.
Very good. This clinic is going to be held Sunday, April 2nd. It's going to be held at what used to be it used to be a Lowe's. It used to be a place for boat storage, but Larry Miller's done a great job renovating this facility as a place where some local high school teams can work out, maybe in the wintertime or in rough weather. So taking advantage of that location there on Admiral Doyle, just a little bit for folks who are familiar with New Iberia Senior High, just a little bit west of there on Admiral Doyle Drive. Have you visited that facility, or are you aware of it?
Yeah, I'm aware. I have not visited, but I've seen photos, and it looks like a beautiful facility, a perfect place that you can do just about anything you need to. So,
the event, Sunday, April 2nd, and I've got a lot of contact info I'm going to offer up, folks. There's also some information on our Facebook page, the Teche Matters Facebook page, and we'll also give you a chance to offer up your website so folks can get further information on it. But who's going to benefit from this the most? Pitchers or anyone who would at some point throw a baseball?
Exactly. Anybody that's throwing a baseball or softball will benefit greatly from this. And I'll tell you who else benefits a lot from this, and that's the parents. Because really, our goal is to get the best possible information into parents' hands so they can best take care of their athletes. It's, you know, for many years now that they don't always have access to the best information, so they have to rely on sources that may not have the best information. So our job in an organization is to give parents and athletes the information so they can make the best decisions for themselves.
Yeah, and I like the aspect that parents with participating players are free. So you pay for the player, but then you can receive all this information as well. There's also an additional cost if you want a motion analysis, and we can go through that. But, you know, I appreciate your wanting the parents to understand this information, because coaches, God bless them, don't always have the athlete at the best interests always in mind.
Yeah, and, you know, I'll be honest with you, I don't think any coach has ever gone out and intentionally tried to teach someone incorrect, but it just goes back to the fact that not all the best information is available to them. And so it takes some searching, and it takes some work to get out there, and that's what we do. So try and bring that to them.
You know, this particular clinic, I understand, is for 9 years and older, and I guess you encourage maybe with a couple of years baseball experience. If they've never picked up a baseball, this may not be that type of clinic for them.
It's kind of interesting. If someone has never played the sport before, or sometimes it's not a problem. Now, if they have never played sports at all before and just don't enjoy athletics, it could be a problem. But it's really interesting. What we find out is that kids that have actually been never given any bad information can have better mechanics than an athlete that's been given bad information. So it actually comes down to it's better to give them no information than bad information. So we welcome everybody. I've had kids that have only played the game for a month walk in and look better than someone that's played it for 3 years. So it's just a matter of what information they've received previously as to how they are when they start. So.
Yeah, Coach Eric told me that the camp should be mandatory for any parent or coach who ever intends to work with a player. Why do you think he says that?
Well, it goes back to the fact that truth, and because we're science-based, everything we teach is 100% scientifically defendable. So if you're in charge of an athlete's well-being, it's your responsibility to get the best information so that you can make sure that they are taken care of. That should be your number one goal. We are a health first, then performance organization. We're the only ones that really can do that. A lot of people will offer you performance, but at a risk for your health. We can do both.
There you go. What will folks find online there at Doxakis.com?
Correct. Yeah, they will find a lot of information about who we are, basic information about the programs that we do. There'll be a link there to this particular clinic that we're doing there in New Iberia. Also, that'll link them to our national website, nationalpitching.com, where you can find out more about Tom House and many of our other regional directors as well.
There you go. Not that we don't want people to go to the clinic, but is there something you can tell us over the air that maybe some common fundamental mistakes that are made that could be correctable?
One of the biggest mistakes I find in pitching instruction, and this is we have a lot of what we call false conventional wisdom. These are things that have been said so many times it just became fact, but there's no truth to them. And the biggest one is when we're telling kids to throw over the top or get on top. That sounds like a good plan in theory about trying to get on top of the ball to make it go down, but what happens is the kid changes all his body efficiencies to where now he will move his head completely out of the way and lay it over to the side to try and move his arm over the top. And in what's happening is that not only are we pulling that release point back, but we're also putting a huge amount of additional stress on the arm. So I would say, parents, don't tell your kids to throw over the top. Leave them alone. The way their arm works is the way they were born with. The good news is it has no bearing on their ability to throw strikes or velocity. Leave their arm paths alone. Leave their body positions alone. Just let them go.
Do you teach how to use other parts of the body to facilitate throwing the ball, whether it's legs, hips, whatever?
Yeah, that's another big false conventional wisdom is that slow down, take your time, ease into it, stop at the top. All those things reduce ground force production. And it's simple physics, and mass is force times acceleration. So you take your mass, accelerate it faster, guess what? You're creating more force that goes into the baseball. So anybody that slows down into their movement or stops is actually having to recruit more strength out of their arm to throw velocity versus using their body to do it.
Real good. Again, the event, April 2nd, it is a Sunday, 10 a.m. until noon or so. Again, the address 1700 West Admiral Doyle Drive, again, for folks in town, former Lowe's, former RV storage, boat storage facility that Larry Miller's converted into this great. I think he uses part of it for warehouse for the locally owned and operated McDonald's restaurants, but also opening it up for this kind of facility. I know local softball teams, baseball teams have benefited from it over the last couple of years. But anything else on that April 2nd event you'd like to pass along?
We'll go as long as we need to take care of everybody. We'll start at 10, and if it takes all day to get through everybody, we'll do that. We'll be there as long as we need to. So, don't worry about how many show up. We'll bring the staff to take care of it. I'd also like to thank Steve for setting this up. He's a great steward to our program. We appreciate it.
No doubt. And he has offered his number for folks who want a local input in it. If they don't want to take Coach Dox's word for it, I know Eric will certainly be happy to pass along his knowledge of it, and he swears by it. I've had a couple of conversations with him, and he's really excited about bringing you into town and the program into town, and his number is 277-7438. Again, that's 277-7438, and I've got that number, obviously, if anybody needs it repeated. And again, remind us of your contact information, website or otherwise.
You can reach me at Coach Dox, that's CoachDox, at DoxcoPitching.com.
Excellent. Coach, I appreciate you joining us today on the show, and hopefully I'll be able to pop out there on the 2nd. I've got a concert to get on the air at 3 o'clock, but I think I'll be able to slide in there a little bit before 2 o'clock. But appreciate you joining us on the air here.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed it. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Good luck with the event. And again, I'll offer up that information again, 277-7438, 277-7438. That's the local number if you want to talk to Coach Eric in regards to it. And again, their website, DoxcoPitching.com, DOXCO pitching.com, and there's an easy link to 2017 camps and clinics and a lot of other information available online there at DoxcoPitching.com. But the event April 2nd at 1700 East Admiral. Did I say west before? East Admiral Doyle Drive. Again, it's just a little bit east. I think I did say west before. A little bit east of New Iberia Senior High, toward Jeanerette, if you will, but not that far. Just a couple of blocks east of New Iberia Senior High. I'm sure I confused some folks a moment ago. 1700 East Admiral Doyle Drive. But again, it's the former Lowe's. It's the former boat RV storage facility over there on East Admiral Doyle Drive.